morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, September 25th, 2017. I am Dave Biddle, and I'm very happy to be joined by Steve Helwagen. Steve, we finally got an extended look at Dwayne Haskins. There's been a lot of hype about the redshirt freshman quarterback. We finally got an extended look at him against UNLV. Did you feel like Dwayne Haskins lived up to the hype?
Yeah, I think so. I thought Dwayne played very well on the whole. He did have, obviously, the one pick-six interception that he was staring down the tight end, Luke Farrell, and, you know, on the replay, it's amazing. He looked in that direction for the longest time and then threw it out there, and a backup linebacker from UNLV, Javen White, I think was his name, picked it off and took it back 65 yards for a touchdown. You don't want to dwell on the negative too much, but I think on the whole he played very well. His touchdown pass to C.J. Saunders at the end of the first half was amazing. He fit it into the tightest of tight windows. And Saunders, even better, held on for the touchdown. What a thrill for those guys. Both of them, their first career touchdown comes on a play like that. Now, obviously, we have to put a star by all this. It was against UNLV. It wasn't against Iowa or, somebody middle of the road, the Big Ten. It was against, a team and a program that's had one winning season in 19 years. So, I think you just have to just take it with a grain of salt and say it was great that he got to play basically a full half of football. They also got Joe Burrow in at the end, and he completed all four of his passes. So yeah, they've got great situation at quarterback, in my opinion.
Part of me thinks Urban, when Haskins threw the pick six, because Haskins was looking so good, and half the fan base is calling for, or more, maybe people think it's more than half the fan base is calling for a quarterback change. Part of me thinks when Haskins threw the pick six that Urban was kind of feeling good about that. Kind of takes the pressure off of Urban a little bit because of that pick six.
Yeah, see, Cardale doesn't have all the answers, does he? But that's kind of my thought. But, this is what I'll say, and I said this to some people as I was heading down on the elevator after the game. It's not a fantasy football team. It's not a rotisserie league. You just don't put names in there and expect. When a kid is a redshirt freshman, that means he's never played. And so you're going to have, he's got great physical ability. That says it enough. But he is going to make a mistake now and then. And so, yeah, I think you have to tap the brakes on Haskins just a little bit. And I think J.T. played as good a game as he's played in a very long time. His two of his 5 touchdown passes were amazing. The jump ball to Ben Victor was perfectly placed. And the ball to Terry McLaurin going, toward the left in the north end of the stadium, he caught it and got a foot down in bounds. That was just as good as well. They finally connected on that K.J. Hill play that they missed against Oklahoma. So that's a good sign. And, I think they're going to stick with Barrett, Dave. I don't know, just something tells me. They're going to stick with J.T. right now.
Someone tells me they're going to stick with the fifth-year senior, 3-time captain who's going to hold every passing record in the book. Already holds most of them. Is going to hold every passing record in the book before he leaves Ohio State. Yeah, there's never been a quarterback controversy, I think, within the locker room or within certainly not the coach's room. People might argue there's been one in the locker room. I think that's probably been just some young guys that really like Dwayne Haskins. But, I don't think with the coaches there's ever been a quarterback controversy on this team. But we're going to finish with some football at the end of the show. But before we get to that, what a week for Ohio State basketball. They went from 0 commitments in their 2018 class to 4 in really less than a week. I've never seen anything like this. Chris Holtmann getting work done, Steve. First was Jaden Ledee, who is listed as a small forward. He's really a power forward. He can play center, big, strong kid from Texas. Then they landed Dwayne Washington, a point guard from California. Then they landed Luther Muhammad, a shooting guard from Jersey. He's the highest-rated member of the class. And they got Justin Ahrens to kind of re-up his Buckeye commitment. He's now going to be a Buckeye for the second time after committing to Thad Matta, then decommitting after Thad was let go, and then now he's recommitted to Chris Holtmann. So just talk about the Buckeyes landing Ledee, Muhammad, Washington, and Ahrens.
Well, I think the downside of this was they didn't get any of the great players from Ohio that they had targeted, like Jerome Hunter, obviously has leaked out to Indiana. Dwayne Cohill, there's some thought maybe they let him go to Dayton as opposed to really push for him. And a couple of the other guys. But here's the thing, you know, Chris Holtmann was hired in mid-June, and so he was in a bad situation. He was working from a position of weakness, and he and his guys, Ryan Peaton and Mike Shiragi and Terry Johnson, got in there and really got their hands dirty and got involved with a lot of players and got a few of them to visit. And once they got them to visit, it was pretty quick that those four guys all committed. Arns committed on his visit this past weekend. So Arns is the one Ohio guy, which is good. You're banking that tie back to Ohio. I think they're still going to go for at least one more player, either a pure point guard or a center, one or the other. They do have two spots available, although they could bank one of those two spots, which would then give them as many as three for the 2019 class. So there is some flexibility there still, even after taking four guys. That's how far behind the eight ball these guys were. They had 6 scholarships available. They filled 4 of them. And I like the guys that they've filled them with because they're all versatile, can play different positions. And, you know, Dwayne Washington may be ranked in the 200s, I guess, nationally, but there are a lot of people who like his upward projection. He's going to play at Sierra Canyon, a high school in California, and work with his uncle Harper, who was, you know, obviously an NBA star. So, yeah, I think there's some good stuff coming down the pipe for Ohio State basketball. They've kind of filled their needs and rebuilt their roster, and I think the next years are going to be pretty bright.
Yeah, if someone went on vacation last week and they're a big Ohio State basketball fan, they missed it. I mean, and this class right now, a lot's going to change, but they are ranked 9th in the country in the 24/7 Sports Composite as far as the 2018 recruiting ranking. So the 9th best class in the country as it stands right now. Chris Holtmann has committed. So we'll see. As Steve said, I'm sure he's going to add at least one more. We'll see where they finish when the dust settles. But let's finish the show here with some football. Mike Hill has been a guy that's been out all year on suspension so far. Urban Meyer, when asked about it, Steve, has been very coy about it. He won't say what's going on. He won't say how long he's out. But we've heard all along it was going to be a maximum of 6 games, and that seemed like a lot. Well, hey, now we're only 2 games away from that. So, you know, I plan on asking Urban about that later today at his press conference. By the way, we will interview Urban Meyer today as usual, 11:45 a.m., and stay tuned for Lunch Bucks around 1 p.m. We're going to be at a location in Columbus to be determined, and give us your suggestions, but we're going to do Lunch Bucks on Facebook Live at 1 o'clock today. But anyway, back to Mike Hill, Steve. Sounds like, to me, worst-case scenario, they're going to have this kid back, you know, before the Penn State game. They're going to have him back by the Nebraska game. So that's big because I think Draymond Jones has been playing really well. Tracy Sprinkle, to me, I love the guy. He's a leader. He came back from a really tough injury. I don't think he's played that well. I think they need more beef up front. I think getting Mike Hill back in a couple games is really going to help this defensive line.
Yeah, Mike was a starter all last season and did an outstanding job at defensive tackle. So I am interested to see when he is returning. It sounded like possibly a 6-game suspension, so 2 more games, it would seem, unless for whatever reason he's able to get back in there sooner. So maybe Coach Meyer will have some kind of a clarification today. Now the 4 games have slipped by for Mike, and we know he's been practicing and everything, so he's ready to go whenever they give him the green light to get back in there. So I'm interested to see what's going on. I agree. I think you know, the defensive line played an outstanding game, I thought, on Saturday, but again, like everything else, put a star by it. It was UNLV, you know, one of the worst programs in D1. And I think that, you know, they had the most tackles for loss in 8 years or something to that effect. So it was a very good showing, I think, for the defensive line. I did not feel that after the first quarter that they had played very well against Oklahoma, and I think that was part of the reason why Baker Mayfield just picked them apart. I think Oklahoma's offensive line dominated that matchup against this Purple People Eaters, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, worse, better than defensive line that everyone was trying to sell us. So, you know, don't tell me about the pain, just show me the baby type thing here with these guys. So, yeah, it's where I'm kind of at right now with hyping people up in the preseason. So, yeah, let's just see it in action. And, you know, I'm I'm optimistic that he'll help the bottom line, no doubt.
Well, Steve Helwagen is always helping the bottom line. I appreciate it, my friend. Thanks very much to Steve Helwagen, and thanks very much to all the listeners out there for tuning into the show. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. And give us those suggestions of where we should go for lunch bucks today, and even, every Monday throughout the rest of the season. If you have a suggestion for a restaurant in the Columbus area, if you have a place that's great in Rome, I don't want to hear about it, but in Columbus, we want to hear about it. So thanks again for listening to the show. Let's hear the Buckeye Swag, best damn band in the land.